Imagine a royal who performs absolutely zero official duties, clocks into a standard 9-to-5 desk job, and yet somehow manages to outspend the world's most extravagant billionaires. This is the quiet, deeply shielded reality of Princess Eugenie, a world where a carefully managed public image masks an eye-watering empire of elite designer wardrobes, multi-million-dollar events, and breathtaking international estates. Behind the scenes, a series of jaw-dropping financial trails has left the public demanding answers, tracing every single dollar leading up to a massive, recently uncovered funding scandal that changes everything. But to understand how a minor princess pulls off the ultimate financial illusion, we have to look back to the moment she triggered an unprecedented internal family crisis, one that left senior palace officials completely furious. It all started during what was supposed to be a standard post-graduation gap year. Most students travel the world with a battered backpack and a razor-thin budget, but Eugenie traveled with a rotating team of elite, armed British bodyguards. Her lavish travels took her through luxury suites in America, India, South Africa, and Southeast Asia. She was living the ultimate student dream, exploring the globe without a care in the world, but she was never truly alone. Every single step she took was monitored by a specialized security detail working around the clock. The cost of keeping a minor, non-working royal safe during this massive holiday eventually spiraled past a staggering $100,000. The public response was immediate, harsh, and unforgiving. Taxpayers were funding an elite security team for someone who held no official responsibilities. As the financial pressure grew intense, a massive confrontation was brewing behind closed doors. King Charles, who was already closely managing the family's tightening finances, stepped in to draw a hard, uncompromising line. He openly questioned why a minor royal required a six-figure personal security budget for a vacation, and the decision was made to strip her of that taxpayer-funded protection entirely. Yet, the sudden loss of public funding did not stop her elite lifestyle. It only shifted the massive financial burden elsewhere. Insiders reveal that her family had to step in privately to ensure her protection, adding yet another layer to her massive, hidden overhead costs. Today, she still effortlessly travels the world, splitting her time between London and a highly exclusive, ultra-luxury golf and ocean estate in Portugal. But as her security costs shifted to private hands, her spending on her personal image only escalated, leading to a multi-million-dollar transformation that shocked the international fashion community. It takes a massive, near-infinite budget to completely erase a global fashion disaster and build a high-end designer empire in its place. For years, Eugenie was heavily criticized by the international press for her highly unusual and questionable style choices. The absolute climax of this public mockery happened in 2011, when she walked into the wedding of Prince William and Princess Catherine wearing an infamous, towering fascinator hat. Critics relentlessly blasted the look, comparing the chaotic cranial adornment to a bizarre bird's nest atop a boat. The public backlash was swift and brutal, driving both Eugenie and her sister to a flood of tears just hours after leaving the ceremony. But that intense public sting seemingly sparked an incredibly aggressive, high-priced mission to completely overwrite her entire image. She wasn't just changing her clothes, she was buying her way into the highest tiers of global fashion. Her wardrobe budget completely exploded as she moved into her late 20s, utterly ditching the clumsy outfits of her youth. In their place came an endless, rapid-fire parade of top-tier global fashion houses, from Fendi to Vivienne Westwood. Suddenly, she was sitting in the prestigious front row at Paris Fashion Week, surrounded by the world's wealthiest elite. During Queen Elizabeth's historic Platinum Jubilee, she stunned onlookers in a flawless, wine-colored silk dress by premium designer Roxanda, a single casual afternoon dress with a price tag of nearly $2,000. Her current private collection is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, completely outclassing the personal style budgets of many senior,
But as European
full-time
houses
working
lean
royals.
heavily into
But this
public
massive
visibility
wardrobe
and military
rebrand was just a
prowess,
minor
much
warm-up
more
for the
reserved,
absolute
deeply
financial
spiritual
storm that was
ritual
about to hit
is taking
when she
place
decided
within
to
the
walk
world's
down the aisle
oldest
herself.
continuous
When a minor
hereditary
royal who
monarchy.
is 11th
If
in
you are
line to the
fascinated
throne
by how
ties
these
the knot,
ancient
you might
dynasties are
expect a
navigating the
relatively
pressures
modest
of the
family
modern
gathering.
world.
Make sure to hit her 2018 wedding to Jack turn on all notifications. Turned into a jaw-dropping, we track these global shifts every single day that left regular updated on the moves that shape history.
And
what do you think is more crucial for a modern royal? The grueling military training we saw in Spain,
about trading
or the soft power
titles,
cultural diplomacy scene in the Netherlands and
raised
Belgium?
With extreme
Drop your
privilege.
thoughts
They have no
in the
idea
comment section below.
A normal person
I
in this
read
country.
every single one.
I don't feel sorry
Turning
for them
our
because they've
gaze
had
to Asia,
everything gifted
the
to them.
Imperial
And
Household
as I say,
Agency of Japan
from everything I've seen of them myself, everything I've heard from people around them, they desperately are driven by how high they can get in society and how much money they can make.
Princess Aiko is
but you might
preparing for
say
a
they were as high as it can get
two-day
in society. I mean, the
spiritual
Queen's
pilgrimage to the
actual
Nya prefecture.
granddaughters
Well,
doesn't
will
get
mark
much
her
higher than
third
that. So
official
you might
visit
have
to the
thought
sacred
they wouldn't need to
ISE
curry
Grand
favour,
Shrine,
they wouldn't
the
need
spiritual
to
heart of the
kowtow to
Shinto
anyone, they
religion
wouldn't
and
need
the
to do any of that
ancestral
sort of thing,
home
because
of the
it would
imperial
happen
line.
to them, not
It is a
from
quiet,
them, and that they were
powerful
already on
reminder
the
of
sort
the
of cusp
ultimate
of
paradox
all
of the
things that this
Japanese
earth can
throne,
offer. You know, tickets
maintaining
to
an
anything you want to
unbroken
see,
link through
flights to
antiquity
anywhere in the
in a
world,
hypermodern
wonderful
world.
mansions to go
But
and
it is the
stay at,
upcoming
all that
journey
kind of
of
thing.
her
So when
cousin,
you say your friends
Prince
and contacts
Hisahito,
in the world of
that carries
showbiz
the
and in that
heaviest
sort of
emotional
royal
and
orbit,
historical weight.
say they were,
In
I
early
think
August,
I'm
the
paraphrasing
young prince
correctly,
will
sort of
travel to
out
the
for what they could
Hiroshima
get.
prefecture to
What
attend
were
the
they trying to
19th
get? What
Nippon
more did
Scout
they need to
Jamboree.
get?
So it's a sense of entitlement, which we heard with Fergie as well. So, for example, they may go to Selfridges on a shopping street and leave without paying because they think, well, I don't need to pay. I'm a royal. Harry and William never have that same attitude. And there's still a hierarchy. Yes, they're very privileged, these girls, but they're not the elite part of the royal family.
Later that
so
evening,
it's a case of going to a nightclub, we're going to order loads of drinks for our 15 friends, and we're going to leave without paying the bill. That sense of entitlement, that's where they've gone wrong.
And you know for a fact that they behave like that.
100%.
100%.
Yes.
No question about it.
No questions. When I was a young showbiz journo, I would go to clubs in Chelsea and West London following Prince Harry around. That was my beat, was to follow Harry.
Right.
I'd observe Harry and his friends, and they were not particularly well behaved.
Yeah, boisterous.
They're boisterous, but they weren't rude and they weren't as entitled
as
their cousins were.
Really, that's very interesting because I haven't actually heard anybody quite say it exactly like that before.
Beatrice and Eugenie
the crown is no longer
embarrassing
just
the
a
king
symbol
by
of
not
inheritance.
giving up their
It is a
royal
demanding,
perks. The
lifelong
princesses
career
were
of
assigned the
absolute
use of a
duty,
4-bedroom
survival, and
apartment in
adaptation.
St James's Palace, a very posh address, by their grandmother, the late Queen. Now, Beatrice still uses it as her London bolt hole, but Eugenie was given the use of a cottage in Kensington Palace, equally posh, when she married. She uses that still to this day. But the rent that they pay is a closely guarded secret. Buckingham Palace say it is a private family matter. Well, that says maybe, but honestly, in the wake of the Epstein files, things have changed. Following the scandal that's engulfed Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson, pressure is growing on their daughters to speak up, at least to express support for Epstein's victims, and perhaps to say what they knew about their parents' friendships and finances. But they've remained silent. Whether it's justified or not, the princesses have been tarnished by the appalling behaviour and subsequent disgrace of their parents. Now, the king is said to be very fond of his nieces, but his priority now must be to protect the monarchy. The York women have a lot to be grateful for. They're both happily married to successful businessmen. They have children to care for, careers to pursue. Do they really need the trappings of royalty? And don't they care about embarrassing their uncle, the king? Beatrice and Eugenie must be feeling the heat from the headlines that are now focusing on them. But they have an easy choice: get out of the kitchen. They don't have official roles, and they're both perfectly capable of standing on their own 2 feet. If they did just that, then the public might have a little more respect for them.